These two scenes are almost identical. In both of them, Joel is carrying a girl he loves through a world that has already taken too much from him. But there's one critical difference. The first time, he's too late. The second time, he refuses to be. For years, people have debated whether Joel was right. Was he justified? Was he selfish? Did he save Ellie or doom humanity? But I think those questions miss something much more interesting. Because the reason Joel's decision is still debated more than a decade later isn't that it's a moral dilemma. It's a parental one. Underneath the affected, the violence and the apocalypse, The Last of Us is telling a surprisingly familiar story. The story of a father. Not a perfect father, not even a good man necessarily, but a father facing the same challenge every parent eventually faces. How do you protect someone while accepting that one day they won't belong to you anymore? And I think everything we need to understand about Joel as a father lies somewhere between those two moments. Between the daughter he couldn't save and the one he couldn't let go. Not because Sarah is present through the story, but because her absence is. The opening of The Last of Us is surprisingly short. We only spend a few minutes with Sarah. Yet, those few minutes tell us almost everything we need to know about who Joel used to be. He's warm, playful, patient. He's not surviving, he's living. And most importantly, he's a father. Then, in a matter of minutes, the identity is ripped away from him. Sarah dies in his arms, and with her dies something else. Not Joel's humanity, not yet, but his willingness to be vulnerable. 20 years later, the Joel we meet is almost unrecognizable. He's harsher, colder, more distant. The interesting thing is that Joel doesn't seem broken. He seems functional, which is exactly what makes him so tragic. Because trauma doesn't always look like someone falling apart. Sometimes it looks like someone rebuilding themselves around the wound. Joel has spent 20 years constructing a version of himself that can survive in this world. A version that doesn't get attached, doesn't hope, doesn't trust. Because attachment is dangerous. He already learned the lesson once, and he's determined never to learn it again. That's why when Ellie enters the story, Joel doesn't see a daughter. He barely sees a person. He sees cargo, a job, a responsibility that needs to be delivered from point A to point B. And at first, that sounds cruel. But the more I think about it, the more I think it's actually fair. Because if Ellie is cargo, then losing her won't hurt. If she's a mission, then she can't become another Sarah. Joel spends the first part of the game pretending he's protecting Ellie from the world, but in reality, he's protecting himself from Ellie. There's a common idea in stories that love comes first. Then one day, something clicks. A bond is formed. And from the moment on, everything changes. But real relationships rarely work that way, especially between parents and children. Love isn't always the beginning. Sometimes, responsibility is. Early in their journey, Joel doesn't treat Ellie like a daughter. He doesn't even treat her like a friend. Most of the time, he barely tolerates her. She's loud, curious, reckless. She asks too many questions. She constantly pushes against the walls Joel spent years building around himself. And yet, despite all of that, he keeps showing up. He teaches her, protects her, corrects her, watches over her. Not because he loves her, not yet. but because she's his responsibility. And I think that's an important distinction, because one of the biggest misconceptions about fatherhood is that it's primarily an emotional role. That being a father is about how much you feel, when in reality, it's often about what you do, day after day, whether you feel like it or not. What's fascinating about Joel is that he becomes a father again long before he realizes it. Not through a dramatic speech, not through a life-changing revelation, but through repetition. Through hundreds of small decisions, small acts of care, the kind that are easy to overlook. Because unlike heroism, responsibility isn't cinematic, it's routine. And that's exactly why the game spends so much time on seemingly insignificant moments. The jokes, the conversations, the quiet walks, the moments where nothing important appears to happen. Because that's where the relationship is actually being built. Not during the action, but between it. The turning point isn't a single scene, it's the accumulation of all those moments. Joel slowly stops seeing Ellie as a tax and starts seeing her as someone whose well-being matters to him personally. Which sounds simple, but for Joel, it's terrifying. Because caring about Ellie means something he has avoided for 20 years. It means having something to lose. And eventually, that fear becomes impossible to ignore. In fact, there's one scene where Joel practically admits it, even if he doesn't realize it himself.
I'm sorry about your daughter, Joel, but I have lost people too.
You have no idea what loss is.
Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except for you. So don't tell me that I would be safer with someone else, because the truth is I would just be more scared.
You're right. You're not my daughter. And I sure as hell ain't your dad. And we are going our separate ways.
The ranch scene is often remembered as one of those most painful moments in the game. Ellie tells Joel that everyone she's cared about has either left her or died. And for a brief moment, both characters stop talking about the journey and start talking about themselves. What follows sounds like rejection, but I think it's actually something else entirely. When people talk about the ranch scene, they usually focus on one line: "You're not my daughter." And on the surface, it sounds cruel, like Joel is rejecting Ellie, like he's drawing a line between them. But the more I replay this scene, the less I think that's what's happening. Because if Ellie truly meant nothing to Joel, there should be no need to say it. Think about it. Joel has spent months traveling with Ellie, protecting her, teaching her, depending on her, watching her save his life as much as he saves hers. The bond is already there. The question isn't whether Joel cares about Ellie. The question is whether he's willing to admit it. And that's what makes this scene so fascinating. Ellie believes Joel is pushing her away, but I think Joel is trying to push away something else. The possibility of losing her again. Early in the story, Joel's greatest fear seemed obvious: death, violence, survival. But as the game goes on, another fear starts revealing itself. A much more human one. Attachment. Because attachment is strange. The moment someone becomes important to you, they gain the power to hurt you simply by disappearing. Sarah's death taught Joel a lesson, a terrible lesson. Love deeply enough, and one day you suffer from it. So for 20 years, Joel adapts, he survives, he keeps people at a distance. He learns how to live without needing anyone. Then Ellie arrives and slowly destroys all of that. Which is why I don't think Joel is afraid of losing Ellie. Not yet. First, he's afraid of needing her, because needing someone means becoming vulnerable again. It means giving another person the power to break you, the same power Sarah once had. That's why Joel tried to leave Ellie with Tommy. On the surface, it sounds rational. Tommy is safer, more stable, better suited for the job. But emotionally, it feels like something else. His point, it's already too late. Joel has already become attached. He just hasn't accepted it yet. In the moment he finally does, everything changes. Because once Joel allows himself to love Ellie, the game stops being about survival and starts becoming about fear. The fear every parent eventually understands. The fear of losing a child. And nowhere is that fear more visible than during winter scene. Winter is the moment where Joel's mask finally disappears. For most of the game, Joel acts like a survivor who happens to care about Ellie. During winter, he becomes something else, a father. Maybe that's why Joel remains such a compelling father figure. Not because he always makes the right choices, and certainly not because he's a perfect man, but because his greatest strength and his greatest flaw come from the same place, his love. The love that saved him from 20 years of emotional isolation. The love that gave his life meaning again. And the love that ultimately prevented him from letting Ellie decide for herself. In the end, Joel succeeds at the first responsibility of a father. He protects his child, but The Last of Us leaves us with the more difficult questions. What happens when protecting your child and respecting their freedom become two different things? Because being a father isn't only about learning how to hold on. Sometimes it's about learning when to let go.